are here at the Athenaeum inside the little theatre foyer, and I am actually having the amazing company of two artists. Of course, it is Marianah Lourens, it's art and entertainment, Kuns en Vermaak, en ek is hierso in die klein theater, die PMADS klein theater, en dit is natuurlijk binne in die Athenaeum, en ek het twee kunstenaars hier saam met my. Ek het vir Mxolisi, Dolla, Sapeta, and he was worried I wouldn't say his name correctly, but I think I did, and Deborah J. Hardman. But we don't always go to the J.
It's Jean.
Oh, it's a G.
Jean, yeah, but I always put
it as Jean.
Jean.
Yeah. When you're a poet, that J looks quite impressive. So we'll start with you then, Deborah, because look, we've known each other a number of years. I was trying to work out how long. It's quite a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I have to think back on that one.
We won't break our heads. No. But because you've actually published, should I say, quite a bit of poetry.
Yes, I have.
And you continue your poetry. But the latest one, and it's such a nice slogan, alive to be an agent of hope. And that's your banner at the moment.
Yes, it's just very new and it's still sinking in, I think. But it's not new when it comes across to my poetry, because I've been writing about hope for the last 10 years. And suddenly to understand that it's been brought alive in me again, understanding what I'm actually putting out there, it's given me more hope to reach out to people with that expression, because we do need hope in this time more than ever. And so to me it's encouraging to be able to put my work out there, but to encourage other people as well. And my passion and desire is for the creative arts to come alive in each person, for people to discover their creativity, as I've been doing, and it's non-stop.
Yeah, and exactly. And of course, it gives hope to people who put their eyes on your art and to read it, and not only with their eyes, but they read it with their hearts.
Absolutely.
And my slogan is, my heart is for art. And I just love the therapeutic function that the arts have, and poetry, of course, anyone can read it. And of course, today, being so online, everybody's online, and you can have your poetry online and anyone can see it. And what about you? Do you prefer to be called Mxolisi, or do you prefer to call Dolla, or don't you care?
I don't really care. You can call me whatever you want.
That. Yes, I've met him just now and we've spent a while chatting, and I really read you don't care. People can say what they like. It's like sticks and stones.
Well, yes. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yes, because he asked how I found him, and I said, well, I stalked him. Like I stalk all artists. But of course, the thing that caught my eye was at GFI Gallery, the Before Dawn. Mm-hmm. It's called Before Dawn. And you've got quite a few interesting artworks there, because you've got some very recognizable faces, but then you've got some other faces that are obviously meaningful.
Yes.
Talk a bit about your art.
Well, my art is a journey. It's been a journey. I've been practicing art almost more than 30 years right now. But at this particular time and with this particular show, it is an area of change. I've been sitting comfortably since 2003 in one particular style, where I played a lot with a negative space and isolated figures that are pushed towards the edges of the canvases and suffocated by flat color fields that have bright colors to kind of give a certain atmospheric feel. But now, at some point, after painting in that same style for over and over, I felt like, adhering to a particular style is starting to feel like an annoying burden. So at this point in time, I've let go of any traits of style in my work, and I'm just painting. but I do have a certain point of view, and the point of view is my immediate surrounding.
Okay, so it depends where you are at.
It depends, but I'm always
what you're surrounded by.
I'm always in the Black Township. It's always the Black Township. I'm surrounded by that. So that is my point of view all the time. And it doesn't get to a point that is boring, because also my point of view is the human condition within those spaces. And the human condition keeps changing. So that's what makes it not boring to pursue and depict.
Yes, and actually, no matter where we're at, we are human, and we can say what we like, but
The
our
conditions keep changing.
Keep changing. Because what I see here is, it's so I see now what you say. So what did you do before? I mean, I'm showing you now this one.
Sure.
And what came before all that?
That was before. That was
Okay,
before.
so
Actually, that was here in Athenaeum in 2013. I had a solo here in 2013. Yeah, that's a huge painting.
And will you describe it, please? Because the people can't see it.
I know. I cannot describe that particular painting. Maybe I can describe the whole range of works that I did then from a thematical point of view.
Can I just quickly describe, because what I see here now as an onlooker, it looks like they're faces on a wall, but they're contrasting faces. It looks like a self-righteous face and then a face in agony. And I can't see the third face. It's like a half-masked face, but it's also off the canvas almost. But on the left, I see this face that's all rolled up. It's all, in Afrikaans, it's such a good word, verwrongen. What would that be in English? It's twisted, distorted. Yes, that's what that face looks like. And then on the table in front, there are plates.
Yes. Okay, now that you're going specifically, I will have to go specifically.
I'm an onlooker, and that's what I see.
Yeah. That was the Last Supper, actually. It's my interpretation of the Last Supper from an urban point of view. It's not biblical. It's not then. It's now. It's a Last Supper from nowness. And I had those characters had their own individual paintings. Each had their own. But in the Last Supper, I brought all my separate individuals in one long table and had them sitting there. Hence, you see these sharp contrast
faces
between these characters. So these were all individual characters in their own paintings brought together now.
Okay. Now this one, what I see here is, I see eyes, I see teeth, but I think they're teeth, more eyes, and also, like faces that one above the other, but they also kind of don't really have a definition of a face.
Yes.
And so these you did afterwards, after you've changed a little bit in front of the easel, would I put it that way? Your stance in front of the easel.
Yes, when I just started getting off a specific style. Yeah, that's really when I started really to push my characters way beyond recognizable images, because the purpose is for them to lose that individualistic identity, which makes me feel that it resonates with the times we're living in, considering that we're all wearing masks, and at some point in public spaces we all become anonymous.
Yes, and this other face has got almost like the one half of the face is almost bland, and the other half of the face is like an open eye looking. And I think we all sometimes are not quite sure of where we are, or sometimes who we are, unless we've decided where our identity is. It's quite a dilemma. So what do you think, Deborah? Because I know you very much, you like me, you're a strong Christian child of God. We've decided we are children of God, and we have decided that He is our strength. But sometimes just a little bit we feel insecure.
Oh, all the time, I think. And Yeah, it's a journey, and it's on the journey that you continue to find who you are in Jesus Christ. So it's unraveling a bit by bit. You can't comprehend it all at once. It's growing in that knowledge, growing into who you are. And I believe you can accelerate that by finding through your creativity. It actually does speed up the process. And that's what my journey has been all about as a poet, finding out who I am in Jesus Christ. And continuing on that journey as he unravels your story and his story. So it's an amazing, exciting journey.
It's a journey.
Absolutely, and it's never ending, because you just finished one concept and then you start a new one. So you're discovering new ways of doing things and being creative. Yeah, and we have to fall back on our creativity in these times. What do we have but our creativity to keep us going, if not just to make a living, but to sustain ourselves emotionally, have this hope call to, and to portray it, keep on portraying that hope to other people. How are we going to do it if we don't have it ourselves?
We mustn't be selfish and keep it to ourselves.
That's true.
And if you can see the two of them, they're looking at each other and nodding, totally agreeing. And to me, that's so beautiful about the arts, because I can now see the arts, apart from being therapeutic to the one who beholds it, it's therapeutic to the one who creates it. So you guys are actually finding it therapeutic to do your art. And I mean, as you write your poems, and do you start with an idea? Do you sometimes mull a few sentences out through your head, or do you just start writing and it flows from there?
I've always worked according to a concept. So it's been visual as well. As I've grown, it's been words. I've become a wordsmith, and I play around with words. And to me, in the last 5 years, the most incredible range of words, it starts with the letter C, the C for cat. It is absolutely incredible how many words there are in that range. And I love to work with 3 words at a time, and then I create a rhyme or a poem, or I write about life as we see it and know it, and then I apply it to the concept I'm working along. So it's very encouraging, and it really does inspire me to keep going. And I want to comment on the township
experiences.
During last year, the COVID, when we were under the lockdown, I was encouraged to write about the townships by my journey, but through artistry and poetry. And I travelled through the township, through South Africa, and seeing the cities grow, going to the farmlands and then to the townships. And I called each place faith, hope, trust, love, and grace. And township is hope. Mm-hmm. So it's encouraging for me to be sitting opposite you with your artwork, where you're coming from. And it's me walking through my poetry, but spiritually, but physically, I have seen these places. Mm-hmm. Because I come from Cape Town. I've moved to PE, and I've seen the places, the mushroom up, the townships, and how
people
we
living
interact.
on top of each other.
That's right, and then we all converge on the city because we want to find hope. We want to find a place for ourselves. So it's that whole connotation, and I had to have a deep love for the cultures, the color, the style, differences as well. And so it all comes out in the poetry. It's actually very interesting because I brought that concept with today. So I'm quite as a separate.
Okay.
Which is quite interesting, yeah.
Yes, that we actually are now actually focusing on it. And I've just found out we've got 5 minutes left.
Okay.
So time flies when you're having fun.
It is. It does.
Now, what I want to ask both of you, because you don't wake up one morning and you say, I want to be a poet, I want to be an artist, I want to paint, because you also do write poetry.
Yes, I do.
Although some of your poetry is a little bit controversial, I'm sure, because you are a bit
I think it's
risque.
real. It's not controversial, because if you're saying it's controversial, then life is controversial.
Yes, no, life is controversial. But here we've got the R. It's a bit risque, but it's real.
It's real. Yeah.
So, and that's what I love about rhyming, is that you can take a letter and you can make a rhyme, because I love rhyming, but mine are just like, I'm a poet and I know it, and make a rhyme every time. You see, mine are just short. They're not deep like yours. Mine is just above the surface. But please, Mxolisi, you see, sometimes I can't get it so lekker. It doesn't matter, it doesn't mind. I want to find out now, when did it begin for you, this creativity? Especially on canvas or on paper or on some surface?
Well, it's always been there, it started very early in life, but I kept going with it. But then there was a time when there wasn't, like you write about hope, I was listening to you, and with the township experiences over the years, the changes, there was a moment, I always take my hat off for anyone who's lived through the 80s in the township. Those were the terrible, hopeless, bleak years with the riots, going through the banning of things. So at that particular moment is the time when I didn't practice any art. That's the time when I really couldn't practice, because there was no time to do anything.
How old were you then?
Well, I was in my teens. I was in my prime. I was in my prime, actually, and I was within the action. I was disappearing in the fires and moving about. There was no art at all, but there were artists, significant artists, like George Pemba was around, and he continued painting around at that time. We did visit his studio earlier in the 80s and late 70s as a group of artistically inclined kids. He did classes for us. It faded all out throughout the 80s era. So after
but
the
that was a motivation for you later on? That experience in those studios?
That experience, together with the urge to practice, art always came back to me. Later on in the 80s, there were rumors about, the political prisoners coming out, and everything was subsiding. And really, I took a deep breath and I tried to find the real me. And the real me that could really come forth was the art. And I started to pick up.
Okay, so I want to say to the people, watch this space. Would you like people to contact you for any reason at all?
Yes, sure. It's easy to contact me also at dollasapeta.com. If you go through
and also on
website.
Facebook, because that's where grannies find you.
And on Facebook, sure.
I
also run mentorship program, and I'm initiating an art school in my studio right now. There are a few guys that are hanging there. I'm looking forward to going to them, because I couldn't make it to the studio today. So I'm helping up these young up-and-coming artists.
Okay, yes, you see, that is why I want to say that it is Sapeta?
Sapeta, Sapeta.
Sapeta, and it's Dolla, Dolla,
Dolla Sapeta, yes.
As you say it. You can find him on all these platforms.
Yes.
That you young people know about.
Thank you, Marianah.
And he's glad I'm saying it. Okay, Deborah, quickly in a very quick, because Dolla stole the time, but I'll have both of you again. I promise you. Watch this space, people. Where did it begin for you, the poetry?
Well, it's the day I gave my life to the Lord. I received my gift of poetry.
And how long ago was that?
That is now 16 years ago.
16 years ago.
And it was visual. I got a picture and I started to write. I knew where it came from, but it was just flowing.
And before that you never wrote poetry?
I did write as a kid, but then it suddenly dried up. Yeah, it just disappeared.
Funny how these dry periods come. So thank you very much. How did I find you? On Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook. Deborah J. Hardman.
Deborah Hardman. Deborah J. Hardman, and J is the letter of the alphabet. Deborah, Deborah, Hardman, Hardman. She's on Facebook, her poetry is on Facebook, some of it, and you can find her there. Watch this space. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming. I'm delighted about that the art keeps going, and it's therapeutic to us who observe, who behold, whether it be on stage or on canvas or in a book. Thank you very much. Time for me, Marianah Lourens, and Art and Entertainment to say goodbye. Marianah Lourens, wat nou moet groet met Kuns en Vermaak. Arrivari!